So I know it's kind of last minute, but I was having way too much fun making Christmas DIYs, and I have a few more Christmas ideas that I wanted to share with you guys this year. Hi, welcome to my channel, Creatively Expressive. My name is Amy, and today I'm sharing some Christmas DIYs that are made with items from a variety of places, including the Dollar Tree, Hobby Lobby, and the thrift store. If that sounds like something that's interesting to you, then please stick around. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you found me, and I hope you consider becoming a part of my creative family by subscribing to my channel. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, and I just want to say that I really do appreciate your continued support. Now let's get started. So for our first project, we're going to be making this nativity scene, and I'm using this unfinished wood nativity set scene that I got from Hobby Lobby for $6.50, but they actually have it on sale on their website right now for $3.90. And I am using this 2x6 piece of wood that I found in my garage. It's 29 inches long. And I didn't cut it to 29 inches long. It was just already 29 inches long, and so it works. So that's how long I'm making mine. And I'm just measuring in 2 inches from the back side of that piece of wood, just so I can place those tea light candles and have them all line up. And then I'm just going to evenly space them apart. I have 5 of them. So however you like the placement of those, just space them evenly so they look nice. So I'm just trying to figure out where those tea light candles go. And then once I like the placement, I'm just going to trace them with a pencil. And once I have those circles marked, I'm just going to take this piece of wood out to the garage, and I'm going to drill in holes with my husband's drill press. And I'm using a 1.5 inch spade drill bit because those tea light candles are 1.5 inches in diameter. And my husband's just showing me how to use this drill press because I've never used it before. And I don't know if they have other types of fat drill bits for other kinds of drills, but this is what we had, so this is what I'm using. And now I'm just taking some of this antique finishing wax that I got from Walmart, and I'm just going to brush it on to that wood board with a paintbrush, and then I'm going to wipe it off with a baby wipe. And I like using this antique finishing wax as a stain because I can stain the pieces of wood in the house and it doesn't smell stinky like the wood stain does. And it also dries a lot faster, so that's why I like using this. And now I'm taking the pieces of that nativity set and I'm just going to paint them with this black chalk paint that I got from Walmart. And so I'm just going to paint all the pieces of that set with this black paint. And I'm just painting all sides of the pieces, the back, the front, the insides. And you can paint these any color you want, but I just like the black because I thought it makes them look more like silhouettes if I paint them black. And now I'm just taking some wood glue and I'm just going to glue those pieces of our set onto that 2x6 piece of wood. And just place them however you like. And I'm just using the wood glue on this because the bottoms of some of these pieces aren't very large, so I'm just going with the wood glue so I can get a real nice permanent hold. So I'm just going to glue those on and then I'm just going to let it sit overnight so that they can dry. And then I'm just going to place those little tea light candles into those holes that I drilled. And that's it, guys. What do you guys think? I think this one is so beautiful and I've been wanting a nativity set for years now and I finally have one. What do you guys think? And here you can see what it looks like in the dark. I think it looks pretty cool. And I've seen similar sets like this on Etsy for close to $60, and I was able to make mine for a lot less. And now for a second project, we're going to be making this elf parking sign. And I saw something similar to this on Pinterest and I thought it was super cute, so I thought I could make my own. So I'm using these unfinished wood sleds that I found at the Dollar Tree. And then I'm using 3 pieces of scrapbook paper that I got from Hobby Lobby. And I'm just using 3 that I thought would look good together. And I'm just measuring the tops of those sleds so I can see about approximately how big I need to cut that piece of scrapbook paper. And now for these ones that have more details, I'm just tracing the sled onto the back of that piece of scrapbook paper. And I can do that with 2 of these sleds because they sit flat on the surface of my table, but then that other one doesn't, so I didn't trace the 3rd one onto the scrapbook paper because it doesn't lie flat on the table, so I wasn't able to do that. And now I'm just taking these 3 colors. I have Cafe Noir chalk paint, leaf green acrylic paint, and then crimson red chalk paint. And I'm just going to paint each of these sleds those colors. So 1 green, 1 red, and then 1 that dark brown color. And I'm painting the back sides of these as well because I want it to look nice from all angles. But I didn't worry about painting the front sides because we're going to Mod Podge those scrapbook papers onto the front of this, on the front of each of these sleds. So I'm just Mod Podging that piece of scrapbook paper onto that and setting it aside to dry. And then for the other 2, I'm able to cut out the pieces because I was able to trace them onto the scrapbook paper because they laid flat on the table, like I was saying. And for this one, it has like holes in the sled, so I'm using an X-Acto knife to cut out those areas. And then I'm just cutting out the outside of it with a pair of scissors. And now I'm just cutting off that excess scrapbook paper from this sled that I wasn't able to sit flat on the table. So I'm just cutting out, not perfectly, but just closer to the edge of the sled with some scissors. And then once I do that, I'm going to take this little finger sander and I'm just going to sand along the edges of that sled. And that's just going to tear off that extra scrapbook paper and make it flush with the edge of the sled. And then for the smaller areas, I'm taking just a nail file that I got from Dollar Tree and I'm just sanding it with that nail file. And then I'm just going to Mod Podge on those other pieces of scrapbook paper that I cut out for the other 2 sleds. And now with this sled, there was like these little grooves in the top of the sled. So I'm just marking those grooves with my fingernail. And then I'm going to go in with an X-Acto knife and cut along those grooves. And then I'm going to take this fingernail file and sand in those grooves to sand away that scrapbook paper so that you can tell that there's grooves on the sled the way it originally came. And now I'm just going to Mod Podge over the top of all of these sleds just to make it more durable since it has paper on it. And then we're just going to let those dry. And now I found this sign at Goodwill for $4.49. It's a big, large sign. And I'm just going to sand away the wording on that sign so that it's easier to paint. And so I have to put less coats on it, so I'm just sanding that wording off. And then also the frame was a little damaged, so I had to sand it down a little bit. And so now I'm just going to take some antique finishing wax and restain the frame area of that picture. And so I'm just brushing on that wax with a paintbrush, and then I'm just wiping it off with a baby wipe. And then once that is dry, we're just going to remove that painter's tape and then reapply painter's tape over the top of the frame so that we can paint that center area of the picture with some white chalk paint. And then once that chalk paint is dry, I wanted to make it look like that it was made with slats of wood. So I'm going to do like a faux wood look. So I take this nutmeg brown and I'm just going to paint lines, 3 lines down the center of the front of this picture that are evenly spaced. So I mark my first one down the middle, and then I evenly space the other 2 on either side of that middle line. And then I didn't think it was quite dark enough, so then I go back over that nutmeg brown with some Cafe Noir chalk paint, just to make it a little darker. And then after that, we're going to take like a stiff bristled paintbrush and some antique finishing wax, and I'm just going to brush it around the edges and on top of those lines just to give it like a faux wood look and to make it look aged. And then I made this stencil in my Silhouette Design Studio that says Elf Parking Only, and I'm just going to center that on that sign. And I cut it out of Stencil Vinyl. So I'm just getting it centered on that sign. And I'm using parchment paper to do that, to get it centered. And then I just pull that parchment paper away once I have that stencil centered. And then I just remove that transfer tape. And then I'm going to go over that stencil first with some Mod Podge just to seal in the edges, to hopefully have less bleed through once I use my paint colors on it. And once that's dry, I'm going to take this crimson red chalk paint by Waverly, and I'm going to paint over that with this stiff bristled paintbrush because I want it to have like a distressed look. And so I'm painting over that, just the elf with that red chalk paint. And I want it to have an aged look to match the rest of the sign. So I don't go over it real heavy, and I'm using that stiff bristled brush. And then for the rest of it, I'm using that Cafe Noir chalk paint that I got from Walmart. And we're also going for a kind of a distressed look with that stiff bristled paintbrush. It's kind of like a chippy paintbrush. And now I'm peeling away that stencil. And with the red area, it worked well for me. But then with the Cafe Noir area, the brown area, it was peeling away a bunch of the paint, unfortunately. I don't know why sometimes that happens to me. Sometimes this works out really good for me, and then other times I have a lot of my paint peel away with the stencil, which unfortunately happened this time. You can see a bunch of that A is missing, and some of the N, and some of the Y. So I'm going to go back in with this fine detailed paintbrush and that Cafe Noir, and I'm just going to fill in the areas that were peeled up. And hopefully you won't even be able to tell that it ever was messed up. Because I wanted it distressed, but I didn't want it quite as distressed as it turned out. So I gotta fix it a little bit here. And now that I've done that, I found these 3 little signs at the Dollar Tree, and I wanted them for the hooks. So I'm just removing those hooks from those little signs with a little screwdriver that I also got at the Dollar Tree. And then I'm just going to evenly space these 3 hooks along the bottom backside of that frame. And so I'm just marking with a little pencil where I want those hooks to go, and I'm just evenly spacing them. I put one in the middle, and then the other 2 3 inches in from the side. And then I'm just using a thumbtack just to mark the holes so that I could start the holes so it's easier to screw in those screws. And then I'm just going to screw those hooks onto the back of this sign at the bottom. And then once you have the hooks on there, you're just going to hang those little sleds that we decorated with the scrapbook paper, and that's it. What do you guys think? I think this one turned out so cute, and I'll be sure to leave a link to the original sign that I saw on Pinterest if you guys want to check that out as well. But what do you guys think? I think this one is super cute. I love it. And now for our third project, we're going to be making this peace sign, and I'm using 4 of these jumbo paint stir sticks that I got from Lowe's. You could also get them at Home Depot or Walmart. And then I'm using these letters that I found at Walmart a couple years ago, and I got the letters to spell out peace. And then I'm using this tissue paper that I found at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut off that area on the painter's stick that has the groove in it, and it ends up being 17.5 inches long. And so I cut that piece off, and now I'm going to cut another 2 pieces 5.5 inches long. And I'm going to place those 2 pieces on either side of that sign once I have them cut down to that 5 inches long. And so now I'm just evenly spacing those 4 pieces of painter's stir sticks apart. And then I'm using a piece of painter's tape to hold them in place. And then I'm going to take that 5.5 inch piece of painter's stir stick, and I'm just going to trace it onto the back of that. And then I'm going to use some hot glue and some wood glue to glue those 5.5 inch pieces onto the back of the sign. And I'm using the hot glue for like an immediate hold, and then that wood glue so that there's a more permanent hold. But I put the hot glue on so that I can keep working and I don't have to stop and wait for that wood glue to dry. And now we're going to take this piece of tissue paper that I got from Dollar Tree that has snowflakes on it, and I'm just going to Mod Podge that onto this sign that we made with those paint stir sticks. And so I just do 1 stick at a time so that the Mod Podge doesn't dry on me. And so I just put Mod Podge on 1 piece, and then I press that tissue paper down, and then I fold it up, and then I do the next piece, and then I press that down, and then I just keep going until the whole sign is covered with that tissue paper. And I like the way it looked on that unfinished wood. You could also paint it white first and then put the tissue paper on, but I like the way that unfinished wood looked. So that's what I did. And now I'm just cutting off that extra tissue paper, and then I'm just going to Mod Podge over the top of the tissue paper. And then once the Mod Podge is dry, we're going to go in with this finger sander, and we're going to sand along the edge of the sign to get the extra tissue paper off. And then for the centers, I saw before, I've seen where they use a lighter and they start it on fire and it's supposed to burn in the holes. But it did not work for me. I tried it, as you can see here, but it didn't work. So I ended up going in with a fingernail file, and I just press it in the holes in between each piece of wood, and I'm just sanding with that fingernail file and also a small piece of sandpaper. And then here it is, all sanded, and it looks all pretty. And then I'm taking this piece of jute twine that was from another sign from the Dollar Tree that I didn't need, and I'm just going to tie a knot in each end of that jute twine. but this piece was perfect for this sign. It fits perfect. And then I'm just going to take a staple gun and I'm just going to staple that jute twine onto either side of that sign so that we have a hanger. And now that we did that, we're just going to glue our letters onto the front of the sign, and I'm just using a combination of wood glue and also hot glue. And so you just glue each letter on one at a time and just have them evenly spaced so it looks nice. And that's it, guys. What do you guys think? I think this one turned out so pretty and I love it. And now for our last project, we're going to be using this craft kit that I got from Hobby Lobby that says Joy. It was 50% off, so I got it for $3. And then these 2 pieces of scrapbook paper that I also got from the Hobby Lobby that I thought looked pretty together. I love the way that light blue and red looks together, so that's why I chose these 2. And then I'm going to take this blue bonnet color and this white, and I'm going to mix them together to hopefully make a shade of blue that matches the blue on that scrapbook paper. And once I have that color mixed, I'm just going to paint the back sides of the letters with that blue, and then also like the sides of it too. And we don't really need to paint the front because we're going to Mod Podge that scrapbook paper on it, but I want the back side of the letters to look nice as well. And then we're going to take that star and we're going to use Crimson Chalk Paint by Waverly and paint the back and the sides of that star with that crimson red color. And now we're going to take the J and the Y and we're going to trace them onto that piece of scrapbook paper. I probably should have done that before I painted the letters, but I forgot. And then we're going to trace that star onto that piece of red scrapbook paper. And then we're just going to cut them out. And so the J and the Y are that really pretty light blue color with that cute snowman scrapbook paper, and then the red is that star with that red scrapbook paper that says Merry Christmas all over it. And then we're just going to take some Mod Podge and we're just going to cover the fronts of our letters with that Mod Podge and then stick those pieces of scrapbook paper down to the front of the letters and just smooth it out, make sure there's no bubbles or anything. And then once I have all those pieces of scrapbook paper onto the front of our letters, we're going to take another layer of Mod Podge and go over the tops of those papers with that Mod Podge, just to make it more durable since it has the paper on it. And then you just let that dry, and that's it, guys. What do you guys think? I think this one is super, super cute, and I just love that red and that blue together. I think it is so pretty. What do you guys think? Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope it's inspired you. If you did enjoy the DIYs that I've shared with you today, then please show me some love by giving me a thumbs up, commenting, or even sharing this video with anyone that you think might enjoy it. I hope you guys have a great day and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!